Hello everyone, welcome to Legacy Academy. In this video, we will be talking about a very important aspect, a very important current affairs event that's happening, and I'm sure you will be hearing about this particular term, that is one nation, one election for the next 1 month. Okay, so what is this one nation, one election? What are the advantages of this particular thing? What are the disadvantages? And will India experience one nation, one election for the first time? Okay, if not, if this is not suitable for our democracy, what is the best thing that we can do for a democracy? So stay tuned till the end of the video to answer all these particular questions. So let's begin. Why are we even talking about one nation, one election? What's happening with respect to the Lok Sabha elections in India? See, the Lok Sabha elections are actually scheduled for the early 2024. That is in the month of April or the May, the Lok Sabha elections are to be scheduled. But the move by the central government, where the central government has called a special session of the parliament without an agenda from 18th September to 23rd September, has raised all the eyebrows, and people are waiting. What will the government do in its special 5-day session? And all over the country, all the news media outlets are waiting to know what will be the agenda for the government, which is not yet specified. And remember, this is the first time in the last 10 years the present ruling government has called a session without an agenda. This is the reason why everyone are speculating, will India experience one nation, one election in the coming December? So that is the reason why. What will be discussed during the special parliament session later this month? Okay, talks the live mint. And you can see Indian Express, special session of the parliament, how will it work? So these are the speculations that are happening with respect to all the media outlets around the country about the government's move, where the government wants to have a special session from 18th September to 23rd September, okay, where the agenda has not been mentioned or has not been finalized. Now, how will it work? Okay, how will, if at all India has to have one nation, one election? Okay, what are the prerequisites? See, the first prerequisite, as you can say, that this will change the nature of the entire democracy, and this democracy is a basic structure of the Indian constitution. If at all a bill for the one nation, one election has to be passed, okay, if it should become an act, if it should become a part of the executive, then this particular bill has to be passed by both Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. It should be passed by both Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, that is the entire parliament. The parliament should pass this particular bill with 2/3 majority, and remember, not a simple majority. See, passing a bill with a simple majority, that is more than 50% of the votes, is really easy. Okay, for any particular government which is in power, passing a bill for this with a simple majority is an easy job. Government could have done it. But here, the matter is not the simple majority, but it is the 2/3 majority. Okay, the 2/3 majority. See, the question won't end there. Okay, after it has been passed by both, remember, it will be passed by both Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. After it is passed by both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, 50% of the states, because this particular move will be affected, or this particular move will affect the state governments, 50% of the states should also pass it. 50% of the states, in the sense around 15 to 16 states, okay, 16 states should pass this particular bill for the one nation, one election to become a reality in India. Now, what are simultaneous elections? If we look at how do you define the simultaneous elections, or one nation, one election for that matter? If you look at this, the one nation, one election or the simultaneous elections can be defined as the Indian election cycle in a manner such that election to Lok Sabha and the state assemblies will happen in a simultaneous day. Okay, it will be 1 day, or it will be 2 days, or it will be 3 days. It can be split up into different phases, but it will happen simultaneously, which means once a voter enters the voting booth, okay, you will have two EVMs, wherein using one EVM he will be voting for the state assembly, using the other EVM he will be voting for the Lok Sabha. So this entire process is called as simultaneous elections. Elections to local bodies, okay, elections to local bodies, though these elections are very integral part of our democracy, but these will not be included, or you can't say the local body elections are a part of one nation, one election. Okay, so which means two important elections should be a part of the one nation, one election or the simultaneous elections. One is the state assembly, second is the parliament, that is Lok Sabha elections. Now, if the present government thinks to have simultaneous elections, what did the various committees, various recommendations, okay, what did the various committees and the recommendations say about the simultaneous elections? First, the election commission, the election commissions in its report, in its annual report in the year 1983, look at this, 1983 we're talking about, election commission in its annual report in the year 1983, okay, came out with a recommendation and said there should be a system in place in India, there should be a system in place in India where the simultaneously elections for the Lok Sabha and also the State Assembly should happen. This was the recommendation given by the Election Commission in the year 1983. Okay. Second, Justice BP Jeevan Reddy, okay, Justice BP Jeevan Reddy headed a law commission, in the year, in 170th report in the year 1999. See, these things are very, very important. If at all there's a mains question about the one nation, one election, you have to mention about the election commission in the year 1983, law commission in the year 1999. Okay, it said we must go back to the situation where the elections to Lok Sabha and all the state legislative assemblies are held at once. Okay, and finally, the 79th report of the Parliamentary Standing Committee in the year 2015 also favored the idea, which was given out by the Niti Aayog. See, Niti Aayog, National Institute for Transforming India, came out with its recommendation, came out with its report and said there should be simultaneous elections. And also this report was endorsed by the Parliamentary Standing Committee in the year 2015, which is very recent one. Okay, so with this, all three recommendations, one thing that is very sure and that we can conclude is that over the years, from the last 30 years, if you consider, all the committees have favored the simultaneous elections. That is, Lok Sabha and the State Assembly elections should happen together. This is what the committees have favored. If they have favored this, then what are the advantages? Why are these committees favoring the one nation, one election? If you look at the advantages, obviously the advantages are actually more than the number of disadvantages. If you look at the advantages, the first and the main important thing, it will reduce the expenditure. So in the year 2014, for the 2014 Lok Sabha elections, the Election Commission came out with a figure and said, if at all the simultaneous elections are held, 4,500 crores will be the cost of that particular election, simultaneous elections throughout the country. But look at what happened in Bihar. Just the Bihar elections of 2015 costed 3,870 crores. Okay, so if at all there are simultaneous elections happening, then it will save a lot of exchequers money. Second one, we will focus more on the government, on governance and the administration other than fighting elections. If you look at the present day, once the Prime Minister is elected, Prime Minister will be a face of most of the assembly elections happening in the states. Okay, same thing happened in Karnataka recently, where the Karnataka assembly went into the election and we had the Prime Minister, we had the Home Minister, we had the Transport Minister, we had the Foreign Affairs Minister coming over to Karnataka and conducting rallies here, which means this has affected the governance. If the same thing keeps happening with all the states that are there in India, most of the time the central government and the functionaries of the central government will get wasted, the time gets wasted, the effort gets wasted just in winning elections in the states. Disruption of the formal public life and impact the functioning of the essential services. Whenever the elections are in place, there is model code of conduct will be enforced and this will disrupt the public life. Elections are also polarizing events. Okay, elections are polarizing. It works based on the religion, it works based on the caste, though elections should not work based on religion and the caste, but in India it happens because of such polarizing events. Okay, so when you have the sentiments of the election, the polarizing would be actually more. Simultaneous elections would free crucial manpower. See, the people who are used for the election machinery will be the police, will be the government teachers, and will also be the Asha Karyakartas. So you have elections happening year on year, you have elections happening every 2 years, that is assembly election, you will have the local elections and also the parliamentary elections. These people are always involved with the election duty. International examples where the simultaneous elections are success. We'll have two examples. One is South Africa. You can look at South Africa. And second is Sweden. And one peculiar thing with respect to Sweden is that even the local body elections happen simultaneously with respect to the assembly and also the parliament. Okay, so these are some of the advantages of one nation, one election. So what are the disadvantages? Why should it not happen? If you look at why it shouldn't happen, operational feasibility. So India is such a diverse and a large country. See, South Africa, Sweden can be a good examples, but Sweden and South Africa are not even as half of India, though with respect to territory and also with respect to population. And India is a country with 142 crore people, 1.42 billion people, a massive country. Operational feasibility is highly difficult to achieve. The Law Commission in its recent report has suggested an alternative. So, what is this alternative? Instead of having simultaneous elections for all the states and the assemblies, okay, you can do one thing: split the states into half. For half of the states, conduct the election with respect to the parliament. For the other half, after 30 months, that is, after 2.5 years, conduct one more assembly elections for all the remaining states. For example, there are 100 states in a country, split it into 50 and 50. For the first 50 states, conduct the assembly elections along with the parliamentary elections. For the other 50, after 30 months, that is 2.5 years, conduct one more election. Okay, so this was an alternative given by the Law Commission. The deployment of the security forces and the officials in 7 lakh polling stations located around the country. 7 lakh polling stations is what we require to have the simultaneous elections. Is in a varying geographical condition. If you look at the northeast and Kashmir, varying geographical condition itself is a huge challenge. Impact on the voter behavior. So usually how the voter reacts with respect to the assembly is very much different from how he reacts with respect to the parliamentary elections. Though the voter will favor a different party in the state, he will favor a different party with respect to the parliamentary elections. So such voter behavior would get disrupted. Okay, and people say that such disruption of the public behavior and the voting pattern is detrimental to India's democracy and free and fair election. This is the violation of the basic structure of the Indian Constitution, that is the free and fair electoral system. So these are some of the disadvantages. So if you've liked the video, hit the like button and subscribe the Legacy IAS YouTube channel for more such enriching content. Press the bell icon to get all the latest updates from the Legacy IAS Academy. Have a nice day. Thank you.